As we continue our Crisis in the Classroom coverage, Fox Illinois is turning our attention to the upcoming consolidated general election on April 1st. School boards across the country have come under scrutiny for different policies and decisions, and Unit 4 is no exception. We're working for you to help you learn more about the candidates before you head to the polls. Joining me is Molina, one of the 11 school board candidates for Unit 4. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, muchas gracias. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Okay. And my first question is, what inspired you to run for the school board, and what key issues do you plan to prioritize if elected?
Well, everybody knows that we don't have a good image in the community because of all the turmoil that we had over the last few years. So I've been involved, spent a lot of time with the district, either volunteering, advocating. So I got to know pretty well what's going on in the district. You know, the very good, amazing, the bad, and then the ugly. All those three things, I know where to focus. So I have a lot of experience in education, from university level to elementary schooling. So I have that experience, and I want to implement all my knowledge that I have.
How do you plan to improve communication, transparency between the board, parents, teachers, and students?
Well, I volunteer at Central, so anybody that can come there on the fourth hour every Thursday, any students can come and talk to me at Central High School. I plan to run and work full time, so I'm not going to moonlight doing the board business. Therefore, I'm going to have office hours. I don't know where the office will be, but if I get elected, I'll have some time for people to just show up without an appointment, and I can wrap it up in Spanish, and that will improve communications. With the teachers, well, you know, teachers unions, you can communicate with Mike and Lisa and the leaders of that community of teachers. So I don't have a problem communicating.
Given the recent controversies surrounding the current school board, what specific steps will you take to restore trust and bring stability to the district?
Well, first of all, I will make a great effort to bring harmony among the members, so there won't be no infights, there will be no soap operas, and that has been reflected over the last few years. So I'm planning to get along with the board members that get elected. Once I do that, then you can approach the administration and try to get along with them. As long as you keep a distance. You need to keep a distance from the administration because they have to be here and we have to be here. Otherwise, our mind can get compromised if you lean too much towards the administration.
Okay. What is one major issue you believe the current board has mishandled, and how would you approach it differently to ensure a better outcome for the community?
I would say that one of the main problems that it was in the news was the Booker T. Washington dilemma, and the fact that the board could not act to solve that problem with the superintendent and with the administration because they were divided. So one single board member cannot go in there and intervene. And since they're 3-3, you can find consensus. So therefore, that particular incident was not addressed. So it just went on and went on and went on, and you know, eventually the school itself got disintegrated. Another issue is bullying and molesting. That has to be taken very, very serious. And then my experience with the district is that they have a tendency to put things under the rug. Then communications with parents is very important in 3 languages, Spanish, French, and translate documents, you know, and make sure that somebody's behind that translation. Otherwise, you come up with a very, very stupid mistakes. So that's happening. They have taken the AI translations and nobody looks at it after it's translated from English to whatever they want. So Dr. Sheila Busser, they translate her last name as borracha in Spanish. That means a drunk person. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? Somebody has to read the information that is being translated by Google Translator or whatever they're using. So that's a communication problem.
Many school districts are dealing with safety issues for both teachers and students. If elected, what do you plan to do to make sure our schools are safe?
Well, number one, I will say discipline. We have to find far better ways to have discipline in the classroom, in the schools. I don't know what that might be, but there's a lot of fightings that take place in the schools, and then they hit social media. There's a lot of bullying going on. Bullying is a form of violence too. And all that it's a problem. But if people are not liable, for me, bullying is like a crime. But if the perpetrators are not called in, and for them to pay a price, then nothing happens. And then you might have a fist fight at a school, and you'll see the student next week, and they're back to school. So it's a whole bureaucracy over this discipline.
Okay. And this is my last question. If elected, will you continue to support the anti-racism policy the district has put in place?
Well, I will say that all the policies need to be revised, including the strategic plan, because that strategic plan was written before COVID, and our community also has dramatically changed, demographically. So you got more Latinos and more people from West Africa, and now a few years ago we had 10,000 students. Now we have 11,000 students. So there are a lot more demands on communications in multiple languages, and I want to be the one who will orchestrate a program where we start teaching Spanish and French starting in kindergarten, and for that language to stick with the child all the way to middle school. And then they hit high school, and then they're taking AP classes in languages. So when it comes to racism, for me, I'm a mestizo. If you don't know what that is, it's 95% of the population in Nicaragua. We are mestizos. In other words, the Spaniards conquered us, decimated the Native Americans, and then they mixed. So we don't have those racial issues with blacks and brown and red or whatever color. So therefore, we don't hold any biases towards racism. So for me, it's like, I don't know why it happens. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be that you have policies in place that are to go against racism. And some areas of racism in this country, they're institutionalized. And just look at the toxic rhetoric that's coming out of Washington. It's pretty bad. And then when these campaigns start getting negative, I'm getting called that I'm dangerous to District 4 schools. Well, if those guys are in Washington are looking at me, there's a dangerous immigrant out there. Let's go and get him. So it's pretty, I've been an immigrant and a refugee 3 times in my lifetime, and I have always found refuge in the United States, and I greatly appreciate that. So you have to make sure, I would say, to level the playing field. Once you level the playing field for children, where the resources that headed into North Champaign and Savoy over the last few decades are retroactively brought back to the north side of town. So that will create an equilibrium. I think once you create an equilibrium in society, then those issues with race will disappear. And it's sort of like the fact that one of the main problems I see with society here is that we don't stick around as parents. So the communities that are excelling academically in the United States, if you look at the statistics, they're the Orientals, Japan, Korea, all those countries, China, they stick together. They're like parrots. Parrots, they mate for life. Then Latinos suffer because, again, we separate. You have a lot of single moms, single daddies, and the African American community is the same. So that's a huge social problem that has deep impacts in the ability for kids to learn and to flourish. And good example of that is like, let me give you a good example. You have Janina Baker and Ron Baker. It's a fantastic, beautiful family. It's role models. Michelle Obama and President Obama, another beautiful role models. So how do you multiply that in the millions? I have no idea. But that is linked. A lot of the problems we have is for our own, of our own making. And then again, over the years, the resources have shifted to beautiful schools with beautiful neighborhoods, you know, Caribusy, Barksdale, where those investments should have been on the north side of town with all that it takes. Now, if you're not educating children for them to be bilingual by the time they finish middle school, then you got a big problem. Because our number one trading partner right now is Mexico. So if you get a job as a reporter and it's in Mexico, do you think you can perform? You don't. It's very difficult. And so all the thousands and thousands of jobs that are being generated in Mexico from all these multinationals, they're hiring bilingual people. And bilingual teachers. We desperately need bilingual teachers. And then the problem I see with the district is that they have a self-induced problem because they don't sponsor teachers. You know, we desperately need bilingual teachers. But you have to put an ad in the paper in Mexico City or in Argentina or Spain. We get a few from Spain, but those teachers are sponsored by the state of Illinois, by the state of Illinois through a program that they have. But the district itself alone has the ability to hire, recruit, and sponsor international teachers. And that will solve the problem. And I'm willing to volunteer to help the district recruit and retain and bring in amazing teachers and pay them well. Pay them well, give them incredible healthcare services, retain them, even buy them a house. So we have to give teachers the importance, the prestige, and the salaries that they deserve. If not, we're just going to say, well, we're going to do something competitive with the nearby district. No, this district is rich. We should be able to improve the conditions of the teachers.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. That was my last question. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to watch more videos from Fox Illinois.